call that radio. You call that radio TV. Hello. You call that radio TV.
This is You Call That Radio.
This is You Call That Radio TV. We're about to go live to Utah Saints. Utah Saints on You Call That Radio TV. Sorry, I'm a bit sneeze. No, I think I'm all right. But I'd like to apologise if you hear any rumbling in the background. It's the washing machine. My washing machine's got an attitude problem. So if you hear that, apologies for that. And my hair, I'd like to apologise for my hair. I think I use conditioner instead of shampoo. But apart from that, we're all good to go. And I think we can go live to Jez of Utah Saints fame. How you doing, mate?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well, mate. I'm well. I'm excited to speak to you, man. I've been listening to your music since, I don't know. Now that's what I call 20, I don't know. It was way back, wasn't it?
Yep, 91 we started.
So. 91, and what was it? How long was the journey before you had huge success? Quite early on.
Yeah, really early. I mean, well, I'd been in a couple of bands since I started being in bands when I was at school, and I started DJing, doing weddings or anything that I could get when I was about 14, and so we were just like. With Utah, I met Tim. I'd been in a couple of bands, and Tim had put a couple of house records out, but we really didn't know what we were doing. And I met Tim, and then we did. The first thing we did was "What Can You Do For Me," and then that got signed to Pete Tong. And then within 3 months of that, we were on Top of the Pops. So for the Utahs, from us meeting to getting on Top of the Pops was about 6 months. So it was kind of stupidly fast.
That's incredible, man. That's incredible. Who do you remember? What was the Top of the Pops like? Was it? Because obviously, I mean, Top of the Pops, for maybe the younger viewers as well, they might not understand how important Top of the Pops was. It was practically everyone and their granny would watch it. Who else was on the show that night? Do you remember?
You know, it's weird, but you're right. Just talking to people about, like, Top of the Pops sounds ridiculous as a concept now. The idea that like, you know, a third of the country would sit down and watch music for half an hour on a Thursday. And then be obsessed with chart positions and stuff, but it was like an institution, so it was like weird. But yeah, so you talk about like so we probably our whole life, everybody, we all suffer from, or a lot of people suffer from imposter syndrome. So if you want imposter syndrome, go to Top of the Pops, because it's like, I think the first time we were on, I think it was Kylie was there, Cliff Richard was there. The second or third time, Bob Geldof introduced it. It was just like, just weird. I mean, at the same time, it was really exciting because you get offered it and it's like really mainstream. So a lot of people saw it as selling out. We never saw it as that. We saw it as like we do pretty much anything back in the day because we didn't see it like that. We saw it as like dance music was arriving, rave was arriving. We were making tracks in a bedroom studio and getting them on Top of the Pop. So like, that's something you should tell people about, you know, and say, right, if we can do it, you can do it as well. You know, you can get involved with this. And it was like, so that was kind of our thought process with it. So we didn't see it as a selling out thing. We just saw it as reaching a bigger audience and saying, this is something important and this is kind of happening now.
And you had people like myself watching that, and it would make me realise that there was more to music than Kylie Minogue. No offence to Kylie, of course, who later on I think redeemed herself a lot with things like, you know, the collaborating with Nick Cave and just making comebacks and reinventing herself. So shout outs to Kylie, but obviously at the time you had Utah Saints and it just changed the game because obviously there wasn't internet. So it was like it was quite a good way for someone who's a kid to just who's watching mainstream television to start finding out about this. I mean, no other thing. Sort of rave culture's a bit too young for it the first time round. There was shows like BPM. They'd be on late at night about 2 a.m. So that's how. And just getting those crossover bands that did hit the charts. So that's how I found it. I seen you guys recently. Well, recently if we don't include the last 3 years, which we don't, Beat Herder Festival, and it seemed like it was just what an amazing audience it was, and you were absolutely brilliant. What is your favourite festival, and is it good to be back?
Yeah, it's amazing to be back. I mean, like I said, we've been doing this since I was at school, so it's weird stopping for a bit and trying to get your head around adjusting to not doing something. So yeah, it's amazing. Festival wise, like we are. I mean, I know that it's up your way, but we're really excited to come to Doing the Rabbit Hole. It's like Beat Herder is another thing for us because we've been curating a stage there at Beat Herder since 2007. And when we got involved with it, it was only in its second year, I think, our third year. And it started as a free party in some woods in the middle of nowhere. And it's gone from that with 150 people to like 15,000 people now. So it's an amazing honor to kind of be going back there and curating the stage. So we put the lineup together and try and make it as eclectic as possible. And yeah, we play every year. So it's our little kind of resident festival kind of thing. And we have a relationship with the audience, which makes it kind of really special. That said, we're really looking forward to coming up to Doing the Rabbit Hole. We've got a really, really strong relationship with Scotland. Scotland's still, apart from bizarrely Lao or Laos, however you pronounce it, Scotland's still the only country that we've ever had #1 in. Also, the place where we did our first gig in Air Pavilion.
Oh yes, yeah.
We've had
heyday.
In the heyday of it. I mean, to be honest, we talk about rave changing people's. I mean, I had a similar thing with Talk to Pops when I was watching it. When I was, growing up, you'd see things and you think, and it was the outliers that made you want to get involved in stuff in music. You just think, what the hell is this? Even if you didn't like it, you thought, okay, there's room in here for more than just what kind of pure pop. And for me, I'd come out of industrial stuff and metal, and my favorite band was Motorhead, and I was into a lot of stuff from Belgium, a lot of EBM, it used to be called, electronic body music, and like I was also New Order and stuff like that. But I hadn't really fully got my head around rave till I went to Air Pavilion. And I went to Air Pavilion, and it was like 4 in the afternoon, and it's like a brilliant seaside town. I kind of walk along a bit, and we go into this place, the Air Pavilion, and it was just off the scale. It was like 4 in the afternoon, 1,000 people in there, packed, flat out. And basically, that was an epiphany for me because I saw the dynamics in dance music that were making it work, and there was some parallels with the dynamics in kind of rock music, what made that exciting. So the whole thing just blew my mind, and that was me fully into rave culture from there. So Air Pavilion was a big thing for us.
Mate, Ayrshire, man, that's where I'm from as well, Ayrshire, which
Yeah,
a lot of people don't know. It's forgotten about, but a lot of people don't realise that the Air Pavilion and you had the Metro and Saltcoats, and for a while they were important areas that people travelled from all around the world, really. Well, mostly UK, but where is it you're from yourself originally?
I'm from Carlisle, so
it's not far. It's not that far then. Not too far.
I mean, well, I'm actually from like a smaller place outside of Carlisle, but it's like, so it was like 15-20 miles from the border, and so it was like, Carlisle's a proper northern England kind of city, and I think it's definitely a borders town. I love that, I love the whole borders bit as well. It's really good up there.
Yeah, sometimes forget that as well. Like when I think you were actually booked for Audio Suit Festival, which I had a wee stage at, but it sadly didn't go ahead the year that you were booked to play, if I remember rightly. But I remember there was a band come up from Newcastle, and I was like, oh, thank you so much for coming all the way up from Newcastle. But because it was kind of sort of, I don't know, what does it count as East Lothian? So it's kind of near the borders. I did the maths after it, and I was like, oh, actually, it took me longer to get from Glasgow to Audio Suit than it did from Newcastle. But yeah, it was Audio Suit. Yeah, the Audio Suit was the year that it didn't happen. Is that right? Because I think you were supposed to be meant to be headlining it, and sadly it didn't happen that year for whatever reason. And also, I wanted to ask about the resurgence of Kate Bush, which with Stranger Things and everything like that. And it's funny, you're seeing a lot of these kind of sort of fuddy-duddies. And I'm not saying old fuddy-duddies, because they're probably younger than me, talking about, well, actually, Kate Bush has been around for a long, long time. You know, I learned the traditional way of, they probably just heard Kate Bush through a Future Heads cover. And for me, it was probably hearing the Something Good track that you did. That was my introduction. And obviously, Kate Bush, absolute legend. But have you seen a bit of a pickup in attention or like hits and people playing your tune due to Kate Bush getting a bit more attention?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, not yet, but there's a wee bit more chatter about us because of that. But I was literally talking to someone today. I did another interview earlier, and they didn't realize for years that it was Kate Bush that we sampled. So there's quite a few people who never made that kind of connection. But yeah, I mean, it's amazing what's happened to Kate Bush. It's just that it's like, because what I didn't realize was that Kate Bush had never really took off in America the first time around. So she's like way more kind of underground left field, as I understand it, up until like last week, and then suddenly it's just gone boom. And amazing. And I'm not funny dirty about it, but I always envy people when they hear something for the first time. And if you're going into Kate Bush and you're just hearing a catalog for the first time, wow, you're in for a treat, man.
Absolutely. And how did that tune come about? Was what you're saying that a lot of people aren't aware, was it an official collaboration or was it a sample? Did you just have to clear it? How did that go about? How did that come about?
So we've always made things really difficult for ourselves. And part of that, I think, is because we're always worried about putting tracks out in case they're not well received. And we worry a bit too much about that sometimes, or we used to. And so what we've done with that track was Kate Bush was the first track was What Could You Do For Me, and we sampled Annie Lennox. And at the time, Annie Lennox and Kate Bush were kind of, there used to be a category at the Brits for the best female artist, and they were always nominated, the two of them. So for us, the way I looked at it was an obvious kind of jump from Annie Lennox to Kate Bush. So we made a track. I mean, the way we always make tracks, we make a track first, then try and find a sample, which is the stupid way to do it, really. I mean, I hear loads and loads of people having hits with where they've done it completely the opposite way around. But we always try and get the track and then force ourselves to find a sample. And being DJs, you kind of think about like tracks about that anyway, because you're always thinking, what tracks go together? What track's not going to clatter the dance floor, you know? So you're always thinking, anytime you've got something playing, your brain just starts thinking, right, this will go with it, or this will go with it, or this will go with it. So you start trying to build up things like that. So the minute we start a track, you start to think of sounds that could mix with it. Anyway, we'd spent a few days on the track. We got the bass and the drums and all that happening, and then we started looking for a sample. Then we started going through Kate Bush's catalog and just off the CDs. And then we found the Something Good bit. We put that into a sampler. And remember, this is in the days of steam-powered samplers. It took ages to do anything. And so basically, we put it in the sampler. We couldn't get it to run in time, so we used the pitch bend on the sampler to make it go ooh I. Everybody thinks that ooh I is like some clever bit of inspiration, but actually, it's
how
not.
do you spell it? How are you spelling that as well? Like I end up copying and pasting lyrics that I found online, which is kind of like whoa, oh, but I would have pronounced. I just didn't know how to spell. But I would have went ooh ah oi as in oy, because it sounds to me like ooh ah oi. How is anyone else spelling that? How would you spell it? Oi, or whoa, oi. We'll do a poll. We'll do a poll on YouTube. We'll do a poll. But what do you think?
There's probably a meme in that somewhere, just people trying to get the ooh bit right. But yeah, that was because we had a pitch bend to get it in time. So that was just, it was like, say, to get it in time. Same with the Utah Saints bit on the beginning. Complete accident, because we got a drummer in and we thought, right, we need the KLF. At the time, we're putting, there was another band around at the time, were amazing, kept putting the name on their tracks, and a lot of hip-hop artists always said the name. So we thought, right, if we're on the radio, we want to put our name on our tracks so that every time someone hears the track, they know who it is. So we got a drummer at the time, Keith, to come in and shout Utah Saints. And being foolish, we hadn't really got him to do it to a click track or anything. So he was quite slow. So to get it fit into the track, we had to speed it up, and make it stutter, to make it kind of it's fit in with the track. So again, that was a bit of an accident. But then the Kate Bush thing, we got the CD basically running with the track, that sample. We thought it was a really nice kind of uplifting lyric that at the time fitted well because the country was in a bit of a recession and everyone was a bit down and stuff. And then we took it to the record company, and then Pete Tong was our A&R man, so he kind of like, he dealt with us from the record company point of view. And then it went off to somebody's people, to somebody else's people, to somebody else's people, to Kate Bush's people, to Kate Bush. So we had no direct kind of thing with that. And then about 4 weeks later, it came back with approval. So it wasn't an easy decision because she really takes great care with all her catalogue, and rightly so. But we got it cleared, so that was a result. And we're always grateful to it.
Yeah, no, it's an absolute banger. I'd like to think that Kate Bush said that and went, yes, that is a good one. And so I've asked the people of YouTube how they pronounce the poll. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can join in the poll of how you would pronounce the Kate Bush bit of Something Good. We talked about Down the Rabbit Hole. Let's do a wee advert for that just now. Down the Rabbit Hole Festival, 14th to the 17th of July. User on Friday, the 15th, I believe. I think times are subject to change, but roughly about 11 o'clock-ish, I think. Something like that. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, maybe a little later, but yeah.
Maybe a little later, maybe about 12 or something like that. So it's there's going to be lots of electronic music. I'm not sure which stage. Do you know what stage you're on? I should know this, but I don't. But it'll be one of the good electronic stages. I think it's one of the electronic stages. So
yeah.
The one that Orbital and stuff's playing the next day as well.
But look at our lineup, man. That's an awesome lineup.
Yes,
isn't that a great lineup?
Well, I was supposed to be on the Friday. My band's Gyro Babies was supposed to be on the Friday night, and then we get moved to the Thursday, which I'm glad because we were going to be clashing with you. So I'm happy to be on the Thursday. We're on before Patti Smith, and I'll be running a couple of stages before for the rest of the weekend. So it's good to get that thing out the way because you know yourself being, creating a stage and performing. It's not ideal to do both at the same time. So I can put my shades on Friday night and pretend I'm a rock star for half an hour and then get back into running around trying to find XLRs or whatever it is that will be asked of me.
Mark, you're always a rock star. Just walk it.
Yes, rock it. We've got, but yeah, are you staying for the weekend, man? Or are you just there for the Friday?
No, we're just there for the Friday because it also clashes with Peter, unfortunately. So that's
of course, man.
That's a tricky one for us. Otherwise, because when it originally came up, it had been moved obviously pandemic wise and stuff, and it was in a different date. But no, I mean that lineup is amazing. If we could have stayed, we would have stayed. Definitely.
Well, a band that I would recommend you check out, who I think, if I remember rightly, they were, well, the last time we looked at the times was about a month or so ago, so it might have changed. But there's a really good band called Mickey Nines, a 4-piece band, but they make electronic sounding music with just bass, drums, guitar, and a singer. But I think they'd be right up your street. And yeah, Mickey Nines. And I feel like it's time so that everyone can watch the Mickey Nines and then go to Utah Saints after it, which sounds like the right thing to do. And let's go to some comments. So let's see. Air Pavilion was great. Loads of us from Motherwell loved it. Sitting at the back stairs at the bog was mental. It was just a little bit before my time.
It was, man. It was like, I mean, everyone played there. Everyone played there. Prodigy played there a few times as well, And Ricky McGowan, who's one of the promoters, he still does street rave and stuff. And so he started there and he's done stuff, all over the place. But yeah, Air Pavilion was legendary.
Alan Morrison says Kate Bush sample was absolutely brilliant. C-Dot, who's also from, he's for Ayrshire, I think Salcoats, he's next to the Metro. Future Heads was man, Trinity Bush. See, that's it. What's wrong with that? What is wrong with that? You found Kate Bush through a cover or a sample, or a Stranger Things thing. So that's good. Katie would pronounce it as ooh, I. Colette says, "Oh, a Chucky, a day will come, Scottish chanter." Name drop, Mark. Yes, we do have the name drop. We've got a name drop button, but I think there's going to be too many tonight to go through it all. Which is actually brings up my next question, because I had the Stone Roses remix CD back in 2005, 2000, something like that. But the One Love, was that right? Is that the one you did?
Yeah.
What was that like? How did that come about? And what's it like having the Stone Roses stems? Did you feel pressure on that one?
Yeah, we feel pressure on just about every time we do anything. We feel pressure. We still feel pressure now. It's like there's no way we go into a gig situation or anything without feeling pressure. We always feel pressure, but that's a good thing in a way because it makes you keep your game up. The minute you stop feeling that pressure, I think it's probably time to think maybe you're taking things for granted and you shouldn't. We never take anything for granted. And so with the Stone Roses remix, that was like it's a great honor to be involved in that project. It's like you always worry when you do a remix because you're always going to ruin the track for some people and improve it for others. So you can never quite, or that should be the kind of happy medium. Hopefully you just don't ruin it full stop. But you're aware that you're going to mess with something that's really important to people. So you've got to be kind of mindful of that. So what we try and do is kind of put a stamp on it, but be respectful and try and retain the essence of whatever's there in the first place. So with Stone Roses, you got to keep a bit of like the rhythm, you got to keep a bit of the bass, you got to keep a bit of what he's doing and a bit of the lead because they're all, iconic musicians. So you got to keep a bit of all that in there and then do your own thing on top of that.
Amazing. And a good question from Katie Christie, actually. Katie Christie says, did you guys have to mime on Top of the Pops?
Yeah.
Everyone did in that era, didn't they? I think it changed. I think it changed. We had Gail Porter on the show last year, and she said that it kind of changed a little bit towards the end because I think some more of the sort of Britpop bands and stuff were adamant that they wanted to play live. But
we wanted to play live, but
we just said no.
Well, the problem is that, firstly, it was the BBC. So the BBC had loads of ways of doing things. So, and it involved, and they kind of like, it's fair enough. They kept to their own thing. So if you want, I always remember trying to move some decks. We want to move the decks about 2 feet. So we went and got some. So we started trying to move it ourselves, and the cameraman goes, "Don't move that because you just annoy everybody." So I said, "Okay, who do we get to move?" And he went, "You need to see blah blah blah, who's the studio manager." So we went to see them, and they said, "Right, but you need to talk to the carpenter because the carpenter built the table that the decks are on." So we go and see the carpenter, and he goes, "I can move that." And we go, "Great, can we just move the foot?" And he goes, "I can't until you unplug the decks." So we said, "Well, can you unplug the decks?" And he said, "No, you need the electrician to unplug it." So it just went on like that. So try and do anything live with computers and all that would have just involved so many people that A, it was tricky, but B, we were spinning samples and trying to mix that. It took us like about, I don't know, a week to mix everything together. So trying to mix that live, it was always a challenge as well. So we needed a bit of a run up to it. Mixing for TV is a whole different thing as well. And then there was the final thing where we had samples coming out of samplers. So we have no lead singer there. That looks like it's something good, actually. I can't remember which one that is, but
I think it is something good. Well, it says it
so,
is.
So that's
I'm too scared to put any audio on in case I do think that the copyright robots will get us.
Yeah, no worries. So yeah, so that's our cutting edge graphics there, and basically, but that's what we were trying to say there is we've got vocals coming out, but they're all coming out of samplers, and we've got a bit of rock thing there, which is what the Marshall stack was about. Okay, so that's the second time, because the first time they gave us the stage was so small, we couldn't fit the Marshall stack on there. We had to give it to Lionel Richie. So Lionel Richie was doing a ballad, and his guitarist came past and saw these Marshall stacks at the side of our stage and said, "Are they doing anything?" We went, "No, we can't fit them on our stage." He said, "Can I borrow them?" We went, "Yeah, sure." So on the same program, when they did a repeat of it earlier this year, it cuts to Lionel Richie. He's got his big Marshall stacks for his ballad guitar. But anyway, yeah, with the miming thing, yeah, you do end up miming, which is a weird one. It's always weird doing gigs where you're miming because it just feels odd. And part of you thinks you have to get into a different headspace. You kind of have to see it for what it is. So you thought, right, we're on Top of the Pops. Let's make the most of it. And we're not going to be the first ones or the last ones to mime. And just because you're right, everybody did mime. By the time it came to our fourth single, which was called I Want You, which sampled Slayer, and I was doing the vocals on it, we were doing live vocals. So that was a kind of a step. But I was always envious of Motorhead because Motorhead did it live a few times.
Yeah, there was a few. I think in the I think like that's what Gilport said that later on they started being a bit more, but it was just mixing for TV, and I suppose it is all done very quickly because the charts only come out on the Sunday or whatever, and then I don't know when it's recorded, but it went out on
It's recorded on the Wednesday. Yes, it was recorded on the Wednesday. Chart will come out on the Sunday. Well, they get word of the chart usually I think early in the morning on the Sunday, so the whole process starts on the Sunday, and then from there you go to you get the call on the Monday, and then you have to rock up on the Tuesday, and you have like a couple of rehearsals, and then they bring everybody in, or they brought everybody in, the audience in, and then they run through it as if it's live. So you have to kind of try and get it right the first time. Everybody gets really cross if you get anything wrong.
Have you ever heard a band called Colonel Mustard and the Dijon 5?
No.
All right, okay. I hope I'm not going to get them into trouble or for your lawyers, but they sometimes start a song called Dance Off, where they just do a little small sample just at the beginning. Sorry if I'm getting anyone into trouble, but I think you might enjoy it because they get they get play big crowds from time to time. They can play to like 20,000 people at Belladrum, and they've got the whole crowd shouting Utah Saints, Utah Saints. So wow. Hopefully you don't mind. I think you might like
it at all.
Okay, so like this is Colonel Mustard and the Dijon 5. I'll just play a little bit of it and see what you make of it. You hear that okay?
Come on, let's go, here we go. Make new friends on the telephone. Make new friends on the telephone. Make new friends on the telephone. Happy Mondays, here we go. With your Manchester, go. Get the good money home. Jump up. Monkey came on, roll, sit in, go break dance, evolution. Papa, yeah, woo, running ladder, I'm running still. Come on, let's go, here we go. Make new friends on the telephone. Make new friends on the telephone.
I'm hoping that this is the right.
Make new friends on the telephone. Make new friends on the telephone. Make new friends on the telephone. Make new friends on the telephone.
No, right, okay. Well, I'm going to do one more. Right, Dance Off, because that is usually a bit earlier on in the song. Okay, let's try this one. This is Colonel Mustard at Kelburn.
Know the waves.
Okay, let's take two. Let's try this.
Lost Martha's on his execution of the hot dog was very rubbish. Who's up next?
So basically, they get the crowd to spend so that they can have a proper dance off. Yeah, so basically, when Colonel Mustard play, they tend to do a wee Utah Saints, and you've got thousands of people in the crowd shouting Utah Saints. So I thought you might like that.
Yeah, I do like that. I think that's a lot of fun. That's good.
Yeah, aye, man, they're a fun band. Alan Rorison's asking, where did the name Utah Saints come from? Good question.
Well, there's nothing too deep about it, but basically there's a film called Raising Arizona, which has got Nicolas Cage in it, and the last word he says in the film is Utah. Maybe it was Utah, and we just thought Utah was kind of like a nice word to say, and then we put the Saints bit on just to make it sound like a team. Then what happened was, so that kind of worked as a name. Names are really hard. The best name in the world is Metallica because it says exactly what it does in the tin. After that, all names are tricky to find, and because you normally suggest something or then what we didn't want was like something too kind of too ravey or something, or too indie or whatever it was. We wanted something that kind of didn't suggest too much about what people were going to hear. That said, it turns out that the Church of the Latter-day Saints, which is the Mormons, is headquartered in Utah. So we didn't know that until we started getting people from Utah trying to buy merch from us. That was kind of like a nice thing, but it wasn't anything kind of religious to it at all when we chose it. It was just like a kind of random name, so there's not too much thought gone into it. There's a bit though. Names are really hard.
It's much harder now with the internet and stuff. I mean, I would imagine that there would have been about 50 bands with the same name back in the 70s, and because they never really got out of their own sort of town or city, it would have been fine. But yeah, definitely if you're starting a new band, I see some of my mates start a band and I'm like, you Google it and there's other bands in. I'm like, right, you haven't really released anything yet. You could change it. You could still change your name, and they're like, but we like it. But yeah, if you can, you just need to come up with either like join two words together or pick two random words, or I don't know, Wikipedia's got random word generator. I think Mogwai use that sometimes for their song names. I've heard before because it's interesting.
Yeah, there's Post Malone and Childish Gambino both got theirs from like random generators.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Get something that's Googleable these days. Katie says it's a bloody brilliant movie. # Mon the Cage.
Right, go the Cage, definitely.
We got C. Dot says, Solcoats, mate, never seen you to Saints in the Metro, but there was some belters, Ultrasonic, Rhythmic State, Chill FM, Glasgow, etc. Absolutely. I think the Metro might be reopening, although they have tried to reopen it a few times and it's never been quite the same. It goes a bit more chart music these days. Any chance of a set at the Barrowlands one day or our festies? The preference?
I don't think we pull enough people to get in the Barrowlands on our own, but at the minute, who knows? I mean, basically,
have you played Glasgow? When was the last time you played Glasgow? Just as yourself, a venue?
Probably Sub Club, you know.
Sub Club, amazing. How long was that?
Christ knows. I don't know. I can't remember. I want to say it's a Sub Club. Maybe it wasn't.
Great sound in the Sub Club. Great sound in the Sub Club. I was sacked as a glass collector in the Sub Club, but there was no hard feelings. I was just really bad at my job, and they let me come back in. The only time I've ever been sacked, that I went, fair play. I just kept on putting it in the dishwasher, and the glasses kept exploding in the dishwasher, and then like the security women had to keep on bandaging me up. So when I got sacked, I was not surprised, and I was glad that they didn't ban me.
Well, so for your own well-being, it's probably
for my own well-being. Exactly. I was just bleeding all the time. Yeah. Or do it. Oh, this is another example. Do it wet leg done, and close your eyes and randomly pick two emojis. Is that what wet leg did? I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Yeah,
that's it. Because all names start to make sense after they become names. They always sound a bit weird to begin with.
And yet everyone can find that hidden meaning or whatever and what it means to them. A question from Katie said, hold on, somebody asked a really good question that was, what is your favourite song that you've ever done? I can't remember who said it, but I did read it a minute ago. Is there a song right now? I mean, I'm sure it will change as days go, as weeks change, but is there a song right now that you're really proud of that you think's your best song you've ever done? Or best remix you've ever done?
Yeah, the best song we've ever done is a track called Lost Vagueness that hardly anybody knows.
Lost Vagueness.
Yeah, and
that's a great name.
Not many people know that, but the original's on the. We've only had 2 albums, and Oliver Lee did a really good kind of mix of it, which is good in itself. But the actual original it's a really slow track, and it's got a sample from of Chrissy Hynde from the Pretenders in it. But so that's probably from a musical point of view, kind of one of our proudest moments. And then remix, but I think we're also, we're actually finally got our heads together, and we're coming to the end of a long process of writing new stuff. We've got one last push in Utah's that we want to make a big one. So we're coming to the end of like I say, a long process. It's writing music's a tricky one. So how long you got? You want me to start talking about writing music?
Yes, I love nothing better.
Okay, well, everybody will try and bear with this, but I'll tell you, I'll try and condense it. It's kind of strange writing music because especially if you have some success, because everything's judged against your last thing. So, or it can be. So if you have a big track like Something Good, which we're still really proud of, and especially the remix came out and gave us a whole new lease of life in 2008. But you start comparing everything to that. So, and that's kind of a mistake. And sometimes we put tracks out which we thought, oh, we're not too sure about this. And people have gone, no, this is great. Just keep doing this. But you have a lot of kind of stuff holding you back. So then, 2008, we had something good. Then we waited another 4 years. We did a collaboration with Drum Sound and Bass Down Smith. We put out What Can You Do For Me, a drum bass version. That went to the charts again, 2012. And then we had a couple of years where we were just writing stuff, and it was all like pretty melancholic. So it was kind of just off-brand for the Utahs. We liked doing melancholic stuff, but it was a little bit too. It would bring a bit depressing to put things to find a part in it. So we made a conscious decision about 5 years ago that Tim would focus on listening and keeping up to date with new music, and I would go off crate digging looking for samples. So both things took on a life of their own, and he now gets like about 100 promos a week, which he listens to all the time. So he listens to all those promos, and he kind of pulls out the best stuff so we can play that alongside the old stuff in our DJ sets. And I went off crate digging, and I was thinking, right, if I can find 12 samples that nobody else has used or nobody else has used with any prominence, then and they kind of got uplifting messages and kind of vibes to them, then I'm doing well. So I went off deep into the internet, and I'm finding like a blog in Mexico with 10 subscribers where this guy's putting up this amazing MP3s of disco vinyl from like the mid 70s that no one's ever heard of. It's disappeared. So basically I started off making this list, and I've now got a list of nearly 600 things that and they're going to start informing Utah stuff. So we're making new stuff now, and if it's not uplifting and kind of takes you to a different, if it doesn't take you to a different place, we're not pursuing it. So basically I'll go and write for like a few hours. If I hit a brick wall, I stop and do something else. Whereas before I'd keep going until I was, until I couldn't stay awake to get stuff finished. So we've got a new way of writing music now, and it's trying to get into the right headspace to do it. Basically, that was way too fucking deep sorry for swearing, but that was way too deep for this time of night. You've muted yourself, Mark. You've muted yourself.
Saying, no, it's ideal, mate. That I love to hear the process, and it's good to get a deep answer for it, because I can understand it, because obviously people do see you as the party band. So I mean, you can still have a down tempo melancholy thing for an album track though, surely, or do you just make a whole album with the down tempo? And maybe have you got any side projects, or have you ever thought about doing?
I mean, we've done a couple of film bits. So last year we did a film trailer thing for that you got used on Raised by Wolves, which is a Ridley Scott thing for HBO. So we did a trailer for that. We've just done 4 tracks for a game that's coming out tomorrow actually, called Final Vendetta, and that's got like a ravey kind of old school soundtrack to it. So we've done 4 tracks for that. So we do other stuff. Yeah, it's just, and we can the great thing about working with computers is you can get any sound you want, and the bad thing about working with computers is you can get any sound you want. So you end up basically thinking, you start a track and then you think, right, what's this going to sound like if I put strings on it, or a guitar, or if I speed it up, or I slow it down, or all these kind of different variables, and you can just do your own head in basically and chase your tail for ages. So you got to be careful of that.
Yeah, well, if you're ever needing any obscure samples, the Scottish underground scene's full with them. Absolutely full with them.
I know.
Someone's actually suggested that, what was it? You'd fill the barrel ones, no problem. Get Gyro as your support. Well, we could try and arrange that, but obviously we have played the sold out barras before, but we haven't released any new music for a while. So maybe next year once we've got the new tunes out. But it's just been quite good.
Matt. Yeah, welcome.
Welcome. That'd be good, wouldn't it? Well, we've been just the gigs we've been doing since lockdown has just been kind of like fun things like Lindisfarne, because there was no festivals in Scotland last year. It wasn't allowed. There was a bit of a bug on about. I don't know if you heard about it, but there was no festivals in Scotland, so we went to Lindisfarne, played there. That was great fun, and then we did a gig with Colin and Mustard, who we seen earlier on, and Mickey Nines, just because they're our mates and we knew it'd be a good gig. And we played Eden Festival there, and we've got Doon and we've got Boomtown, and that's pretty much it. And we're not really trying to do anything else, because I do feel like we're kind of sort of milking the old material a bit. So it'd be nice to come back with some new material and finish the album, which will be next year. So yeah, maybe next year. That'd be good. Yeah, they're saying, aye, do it. People are saying do it. Well, we'll see. Let's just see if we can do it. I've got another comment from, what was it? There was a question about, your favourite remix. Your favourite remix. And I know that you did, we haven't mentioned it. I watched an interview with you earlier on today, and I think you were backstage. It was maybe Global Gathering. And I think you were talking about how you were doing, who was it? It was at that point you were doing a Bring Me the Horizon remix, and you did a pop band as well. I can't remember who it was.
Girls Aloud.
Girls Aloud, yes. So you remix Girls Aloud and Bring Me the Horizon at the same time.
Yeah.
Any other remixes that you're proud of? Worth a shout?
Yeah, we were proud of all of them. But I mean, but we did to get asked to do things. Yeah, Simple Minds. We did a Simple Minds remix of I Travel. That was great because this kind of Simple Minds were like electronic pioneers when they started. It was just amazing. So then we did the Osmonds. We did Hawkwind. So we've done about 50 remixes. Annie Lennox as well. That was a good one. We did a remix of Little Bird years ago, and that worked really well for her and for us. Remixing is a funny one, like I say, because you can never keep everybody happy, and you always got to approach it and think, right, can we bring anything to this or not? And if we can't, then we generally don't do it. For example, we got offered 2 Tribes by Frankie Goes to Hollywood, and we just couldn't do it because it's such an amazing track in the first place. So remixing is a funny one. But yeah, probably Annie Lennox. If I was going to choose one, it was Annie Lennox Little Bird remix, which was years ago.
And how does it, see if you're doing a live set, do the fans, I'm assuming, expect you to drop a couple of the remixes? So do you try and make sure that they get played? I know that you, in that same interview, you were saying that you've got kind of like a punk ethos of just, and also I think we don't really have that conversation as much anymore, because I think everyone agrees that Tractor and CDJs and have been a good thing for electronic music in general. But there was that big debate, vinyl or CDJs. But the fact that you can have your whole music collection with you, so does that mean that when you're going up there, you've not really got an idea of what you're doing? You're just going to see how the crowd are reacting to things?
That varies a lot. We always put a lot of thought into what's happening. So, for example, we'll always look at the lineup. We'll try and work out who were on before, who were on after, who's what sort of kind of vibe there is, and then we take a lot of music with us. Yeah, I mean, we're still Tim. The way we do it as the two of us now is that Tim kind of leads stuff a lot because he was a DMC mixing champion when he was 17. So he can scratch and all that kind of stuff. So we tried doing it together, but we ended up not having. You need a vision for the whole set, basically, and so it had to be one of us leading it. So I've got like a kind of drum machine, a synthesizer, and some other noise stuff that basically puts him off half the time. So I've got to be careful of that. And then I just add stuff. So we kind of remix things a little bit on the fly, as well as they're coming out. And then we obviously try and drop a couple of our hits, but then in amongst that we've got some bootlegs that we've kind of, or mixes that we've made ourselves, versions of kind of, and then we've got some updated versions of old school tracks. And I mean, the beauty of music at the minute is that a lot of dance music is sort of giving a big nods to the early 90s where we started. So the music we started with doesn't sound that out of kilter with what's going on now. So it varies a lot. When we done, actually, there was a festival up your way, north of where I am now, called Wickerman. That was,
yes, yeah, I know Wickerman, yeah.
Years ago. So, and for that, because it was called Wickerman, and we went on just after the burning of they had a big Wickerman and these set fire to it. And then the whole crowd would come down the hill, and we were on the stage. And for that, there's some footage of that on YouTube somewhere, but we sampled the actual loads of folk songs from the theme for Wicker Man. I don't know if you've seen the movie Wicker Man, but it's
yes, I have,
great. And it's got a really unsettling soundtrack. And there's are you trying to find it just now? Because I'll see.
Yes. Yes, I was just going to put it on while you were talking about it.
There's like a 10-minute one that someone put up. Yeah, it says Wickerman Festival 2009, so it's a long time ago. But
that was right after your the remix.
Something good, yeah. So that was why we were on that in that kind of slot on that stage, and yeah, it was great. We had this, like I say, we sampled all this kind of real weird folk music from the soundtrack, and then managed to get it to go at the same speed as a Dead Mouse track, which came out. So we did like five minutes of this thing going, and then you might get a copyright takedown on this because it's.
I've muted it. Okay, it's
cool.
just not worth it. Just not worth it with electronic music. Sometimes give it a shot, but it's
Oh, that's what you do for me. Yeah, there's another one called by Randomonics, which says Wickerman Festival 2009. That has the whole intro on it. So
Wickerman Festival. So what was that word you said?
Randomics.
Randomics.
Yeah, that's it. Randomonics. Yeah. So on that one, it's got like the full intro thing, and you can kind of see what happened. But anyway, that's how it varies from set to set. But we never play the same set twice, really. So we're still kind of trying to work out right way through a set. We'll be working out what's going on, or trying to work out what's going on, what's going down better. We'll always try and mix it up a lot as well. We'll try and get bits of like everything in there. We try and get a bit of everything in there, basically.
Absolutely. And
so this is still people dancing to basically folk music at the soundtrack, because you can tell.
Let's just try it. Can you see it? Have I muted it? Oh no, I've muted it. Hold on. Can you hear it? Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I like that, man. Just after the freaky Wickerman burning.
That's Wickerman, and then the kick drum comes in.
Yeah, we should be alright for that bit.
It's worth checking out.
Yes.
And then it kind of just goes boom, boom, boom from there on for an hour a bit, or a couple of hours.
Amazing. So what can we expect? What can we expect on Down the Rabbit Hole on Friday the 15th of July?
We're just really excited to get back out, basically, and we're also excited because it'll be the first time we've been up, like played Scotland for a while. So that's like I said right at the beginning, we've got a strong relationship with Scotland, or we feel we have. We've always felt like, because I'm from originally, like I said, from Carlisle, so I'm just sort of from the borders and Air Pavilion, but also we had some big moments up there. We supported U2 in one of the football places up there in Glasgow. We played Bella Houston Park with Radio 1. We did quite a few bits.
Did you not do the Irvine Beach Park as well with Radio 1? The big, they used to do, was it one big day? I can't remember. I feel like that might have been a thing.
Yeah, I mean, and back in
rabbithole.co.uk/tickets if you want to see Utah Saints, the Scottish homecoming gig on Friday night, and I'm absolutely buzzing for that. And
the lineup's amazing. Like I said, the lineup's fantastic for that. There's just such a selection of
Stuart said I didn't realise that you were playing Fab. Looking forward to doing. Yeah, it's going to be a belter. And what else is coming up? Obviously, that's great news. I did see that you tweeted about the computer game Final Vendetta. Did you say?
Final Vendetta. So that's
coming out tomorrow or something like that. So any computer games people, check that game out. And I mean, what's the process like for that? How does that come about? And do you get sent a copy of the game and do you play it?
No, you get sent kind of an idea of what it looks like, and then you get sent a kind of brief saying this is what we think it should sound like, and then there's a big nod in the game. It's a little bit like this old school game called Streets of Rage.
Oh, I love Streets of Rage. I loved it.
Well, you love this game then, because it's basically very, very. It's got a lot of similar gameplay to it, but it's like updated. And the soundtrack to Streets of Rage 2 was really like iconic soundtrack because it was basically rave. So people are getting in from everywhere. because again, back in the day, a lot of things would shut at 2, so you'd get back in and want to do something. A lot of people had Streets of Rage, and the music to it was amazing. So we wanted to give that a nod, and the soundtracks. So they give you a brief, and they want it this length, and there's certain little things like it has to be able to loop, and shouldn't have too big an intro and things like that. So you get a few brief things. There you go. So as you can see, it's got a similar kind of vibe to Street Fighter.
That was great.
So
yeah, I've been clean off the computer games for 12 years. Watched my interview with Dominic Diamond last month if you want to know why I can't play computer games anymore. But I might come out of retirement for that, because that was a great game. So they're not saying that they've ripped it off. They're saying that it's not unlike Streets of Rage. It's not unlike... It's a cover version. It's been inspired by... No, it looks amazing. A brilliant... I'm looking forward to... So how do we hear the songs? Are they going to get a normal release on Spotify or I
don't know. We're still trying to work that out. They're doing like a limited edition thing, but you've got to be like proper into your games to go for that. But so because it's like a limited edition package that comes with the CD and stuff. But the tracks themselves, I'm pretty sure they'll end up on Spotify at some point. We're also we're working with a record company to tidy up what's on Spotify basically, or to add to what's on Spotify, because at the minute it's a bit all over the place. The version of Something Good that's up there is off the album, so it's like for today's attention spans, it's way off kilter because it's about 6 minutes long, and it hasn't got the Utah Saints bit on it because it's the album version, and the Utah Saints ended up on New Gold Dream, which was a cover of Simple Minds on the album. So we're putting up all this kind of single edits over the next few months. We're putting up the theme to Mortal Kombat, which we did back in the day. We did the original theme to Mortal Kombat film. That's going up. And we're putting up probably about 20 or so remixes from back in the day that have never been released. So that's all coming out. And at the same time, like I said earlier, we're working on some Utah stuff. We've got, just look at the list there, we've got about 6-7 things on the go at the minute. So, which all kind of, we think are releasable. So we're trying to keep busy.
Am I right in saying SoundCloud is your preferred place for people to check out your music? Is that right?
Yeah, there's a couple of bits on there already. There's like mixes. There is the couple. I mean, one of the things we're really proud of on there is one of the 2 mini mixes, because we do manage to fit about. I think the first one's got 105 tracks in 5 minutes that we did for Annie Mac's mini mix thing. So that's on the SoundCloud. The up-to-date info is on Twitter or on Facebook. But there's some music on. There's an unreleased track. There's a couple of unreleased tracks on there as well, just kind of hidden away. So it's we're kind of like we've been busy, but we've been kind of keeping under a lot of radars, I think.
Amazing. We've got it. So I've just posted if you're going into the comments, if you're watching on Facebook or Twitch or YouTube, although if you're watching the Facebook or Twitch, please do go to our YouTube channel and subscribe, because it sounds better and it looks better, and we're less likely to get kicked off by YouTube. But give Utah Saints an ad on Twitter, on Facebook, and of course the SoundCloud mix, which I'll be listening to as soon as we finish here, which we're just about to do just now.
Can I just ask you about Doing the Rabbit Hole, right? So because I'm assuming you're a veteran of Doing the Rabbit Hole.
Right? I've been. I think I've been at them all. I think I've been at them all just as a punter or performing, and then the last year or two I've been helping them with a couple of the stages and stuff.
Okay, great. So what's the vibe of Doing the Rabbit Hole?
I would say the vibe at Doing the Rabbit Hole is, I mean, there's no festival in Scotland that's got anywhere close to the lineup this year, and I include the big corporate ones as well, because they're a wee bit too commercial. And you know what, it just feels like a lot of the other festivals that I do enjoy as well, musically, it tends to be a little bit more like, I don't know, brass bands, which I love brass bands as well. My friends are in brass bands, but it seems a little bit safer. So Doing the Rabbit Hole's good because you've got a lot more guitar music. So, you know, I like a bit of distortion from time to time. You know, a long festival with no distortion's a bit annoying. And then obviously now you've got these new electronic stages this year. So it's just going to be a party, man. It's going to be a total party. And obviously you've got that. We'll have a look at that lineup again. So, you know, yeah, if there's anybody you can get a remix out of, then yeah, I think 808 State are going to be there.
That's great. I mean, I can see like Orbital, but also like Optimal legends,
yeah.
you know. Yeah,
So,
and Craig Charles is also awesome. Patti Smith's a big one as well, you know.
It's huge, and I've seen people where I just seen her play I think it was Bearded Theory last week, and loads of my friends were there, and I'm just seeing lots of videos of her performing, and she's in top form. I seen her about 3 years ago playing, and she absolutely blew me away. And you know, she's going to make everybody cry and laugh. She just gets you. She's a proper artist that just gets you. With minimal acoustic guitar in the background, and then she gets a full band for some songs. But when she strips it right back, so you just hear her voice and her lyrics, you're like, wow. And you just think of the things she's seen, man. I mean, she grew up, you know, surrounded by, you know, Jimi Hendrix and just everything that was going on then. And you're like, wow. And she's still here, and she's still absolutely smashing it. And I'll maybe give you a wee song of my own that you can feel free to sample or play. That'd be an honour if you played that. Down the rabbit hole. I'm sure people would recognise it, and
send it through.
I'll finish it. Oh, there's Alan use the super chat for the Joe Fund. Right, I'll put that in the Joe Fund. Yeah, shout outs to everyone who's supporting the Joe D'Arc, who's our bass guitarist, who's had to have a back operation, had to do it on private in London because the NHS is completely fucked, and we'll be going back to that later on. But thanks to everyone who supported it. It's over $9,000 now. I think it's costing about 11 or something. So these are all absolute legends for supporting the Joe D'Arc crowdfunder. There's also a compilation CD. I'll put a link in the comments to that if you want to support it. And we're hoping that Joe will be back at Doon, at least as a punter, maybe. And we're hoping that she'll be able to back to bass guitar for Boomtown Festival. And I think her own band, the Twistettes, are booked for Shambhala at the end of August. But I think Down the Rabbit was probably going to be a bit too early for putting a bass guitar on her back, sadly. But yeah, thanks to everyone who's been supporting the Joe crowdfunder. These are absolute legends, and she's greeting with happiness and pain. She is still in back pain, but mostly happiness now rather than the pain. So shouts to all you guys. I can't wait for Down the Rabbit Hole. Thank you, Al, for supporting. We Are Not Devo are worth a look. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. Mima Mero is going to be there. Of course, she will be there at the Tum Tum Tree, which is this is one of the stages that I'm running. There's also, we're about to announce 3 more stages that haven't been announced yet. One is the Toll Booth, which is kind of primarily focused more on the local acts of Stirlingshire. This is the Tum Tum Tree is going to be a stage that I'll be running, which is more kind of up and coming underground artists, lots of sort of electronics people, lots of acoustic stuff, poets, rappers, a bit of Scottish hip hop in there. So yeah, that'll be from the 14th to the 17th. Well, the 15th to the 17th as well. So please do come along in the Tum Tum Tree if you want to see some underground things that are happening. And yeah, I'm excited for it. And also I forgot to mention as well, this Saturday, guys, if you're a You Call That Radio viewer, we're inviting you along to we're going to be having a free party all day this Saturday in a secret location in Glasgow. DM me for the address. We're going to be filming lots of amazing artists all day long. So we did it last year, but we couldn't have an audience. But this year we can have an audience. We're going to have a big buffet, an Indian buffet as well. So if you're not doing it on Saturday, give me a message, and we'll get you sorted out with a free ticket for that. And I think that's all I think that's me punted. Anything, Utah Saints, anything else to find? Have you any final words? Any final words?
Yeah, the only thing I'll say is keep doing what you're doing, and keep being in love with music, because like there's so much other stuff to kind of detract from. So stuff like this is great to do. So I just say, you know, big up yourself for keeping pushing music, because music's when music happens right, when you get a moment. And that, I mean, what I should have said is about that with Utah as well, is that we always try and I always remember this, doing an interview down the phone, and I was kind of annoyed with the guy because he was eating a sandwich, a really noisy sandwich down the phone when he was doing the interview. So not that I've got anything against people eating it, was just like really noisy. Anyway, but he said, "Oh, Utah, you're all about moments, aren't you?" Like it was that stayed with me for years, and I'm still talking about it now. It's living in my head. But basically, it's because I thought about it afterwards. I thought, yeah, but that's what music should be. You know, music should be about taking you places, taking you on little journeys, and having times when everyone shares a moment in time, you know, without getting too deep and philosophical about it. So, and I think that can get lost a lot in the noise at the minute. You can get lost. So that's why I love doing gigs. I love doing festivals, and I love doing it when you get a crowd going the same way at the same time. And you'll have had this with your band, you know, it's amazing. It's amazing when that happens. And it's just, even if it's a second escape from all the fucking, again, sorry for swearing, all the other stuff.
You swear, man, it's all right.
All the other stuff that's going on, you know, even if you get away from that for like a second with everybody else at the same time, it's just an amazing thing. The energies.
Absolutely, man. I mean, I think I'm going to get build some more instrumentals into the new album as well, because there's just that's sometimes the moment where you just forget about the stress and everything's working and I don't need to do anything for a minute, and it's just quite a nice feeling. That's why I quite like jumping on stage with other people's bands, because you're just going up to do a verse or something and you don't need to worry about the stress of everything else, you know, like traveling there, making sure that the drummer's not too drunk and all the other things that come along with being in a band. So to go jump on someone else's stage for a verse is always just nice, because you get the adrenaline rush, you get the excitement, but you realise that you can't ruin it, which is a bit of a less pressure from stuff like that. And just even just as a punter, like I had a wee moment watching Supergrass at Eden Festival on was that the Friday night, and I had realised that Supergrass were the first ever band I seen at the Barrowlands about 20 odd years ago, 24 years ago probably now, and that was a game changer. And I've always liked Supergrass, but I've never went and seen them since. And just going back and seeing them again, you're just thinking how much time's passed, and the people that I went to at the gig when I was 14 are no longer with us. And I had that wee lump in the throat moment when Late in the Day was on. And then I just said there's other moments where I was just jumping around and happy and just like, wow, feels like it's been so long since I had that. So yes, whether it's as a punter, whether it's as a performer, enjoy those moments, because life can be pretty shit these days. So embrace the music. It is amazing, and I will be embracing your music on July the 15th at Down the Rabbit Hole. It's been an absolute honour speaking to you, mate. I really appreciate you taking the time. Let's just find out what the result of the poll was actually before we go. So the poll was for how do you say the Kate Bush bit and something good? Can we see that? Let's see. So the bit with the lyrics said got 62%, and my ooh ah oi got 38%. So maybe the lyrics were correct. I just wasn't sure how you spell it. And so thank you very much. Looking forward to checking out the new tunes, and I'll see you soon, man. I'm going to end with one of my tunes. It's actually a more famous tune. My famous wrote the beat. I just went in there and tried to write something about the party being back, and this is while we're still in the middle of lockdown, so that's just why I sound so angry, because there was no party back, and it was a rough demo, so I was supposed to go back and write a second verse, which was better. The second verse was better, but it captured a moment. It was a one take, and I sounded raging because I'm like, we're on it again, as if like we're back, but we weren't back. So you can hear me kind of sort of angry through gritted teeth. So I ended up just keeping the one take demo, and shout outs to my famous on the beat. And thank you, Jez, absolute legend. Good luck and everything, and I hope to see you at Down the Rabbit Hole on Friday the 15th of July.
Thank you, and really looking forward to it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, mate. This is On It Again.
Back at it again.
Big dreams, no chance, who cares? Let's dance, it's been a while. It's been a while. Count out the train fare or taxi, just get there. It's been a while. It's been a while. Pop dropped and club drugs, tango dub, ticket stubs, we're on it again. Been missing the music and people that choose it. Illusions are broken when we can't see through it. The mosh pit, the front row, the hands up, the hey-ho, the going home whenever we say so. The stranger with lighters, the unplanned all-nighters, the 5 a.m. chat with whoever's beside us, the bass lines, the We're on it again. It's been a while, but we're on it again. It's been a while, we're on it again. It's been a while, we're on it again. It's been a while, we're on it again.
Back at it again.
Big dreams, no chance, who cares? Let's dance, it's been a while. It's been a while. Count out the train fare or taxi, just get there. It's been a while. It's been a while. Pub grub, then club drugs, techno dub, ticket stubs, we're on it again. Been missing the music and people that use it. Illusions are broken where we can't see through it. The mosh pit, the front row, the hands up, the hey-ho, the going home whenever we say so. A stranger with lighters, the unplanned all-nighters, the 5 a.m. chat with whoever's beside us. The bass lines, the sound, the roar of the crowd, the daft chat, the cashback, the police on horseback. It's been a while. We're on it again. It's been a while. We're on it again. It's been a while. We're on it again.
Back at it again.
Thank you to Jez, Utah Saints on You Call That Radio. I just gave my age away. Well, if you can do the maths, you can work it out. Love this one, says Stuart. A wee remix here, oh, that'd be great. They love this tune, says Matt. Thanks, Jez. It's been a great insight to your art. You're a saint. Is indeed absolute legend. And Get Us Dancing. Is the Brooklyn Scotsman going? I don't know if the Brooklyn Scotsman's going to it might be. It might be. I don't actually know the answer to that. We are off for this weekend, but we're going to be filming lots of stuff on Saturday. If you also check out the interview we did with John Higgs, it was a great interview recently. If you missed it, we also had Darren Loki McGarvey, who's just released his new book, The Social Distance Between Us, on our channel. So if you've got YouTube, there's loads of good interviews we've done over the last few weeks. Thank you to the patrons who support this show. It wouldn't be possible. So whether you hit the join button on YouTube or you go to patreon.com/You Call That Radio, or you make a one-off donation at ko-fi.com/You Call That Radio. You just keep us on the airwaves. You are all legends. And thank you very much for your support, or we wouldn't be here. And we will see you very soon.
Brothers and sisters, may the peace that can only come from the one God be upon you. We are here to tell the people that we hear you. One God will not allow us and people of conscience to lose our morale.
Powered by our patrons.